Hello, welcome to today's Back to the City. I'm Simon Calder, and today I'm very excited, welcome, to be joined by MIKKO to discuss the record He, Him, His. And I love that the lyric in the chorus to that is, I am he, him, his, I am mine. And then the double meaning, therefore, of the his. It's like MIKKO Blaze is MIKKO Blazes.
Yeah. That is. I didn't even think about that.
It's there. Whether it's I think it's supposed to be there, whether it's intentional or not, and it's really that really resonates. I think it's like owning oneself, like radical self-acceptance. Yeah, is what the record seems to be all about.
Yeah. Especially being transgender. There's something that is like I'm very self-made. I've made myself.
Yeah.
And so just kind of, I really just want to own that.
Yeah.
And as somebody that I love listening to music, I've never heard any record that just really dives into where I can sing along and be like, I am mine. This is mine. I am. So for me, it's just a way for one to accept myself, but just kind of allow space for others to accept themselves too.
Yeah, exactly. That really comes through in My Pride.
Yeah.
Where we have be strong, be gold, be fearless. And then at the end, I want to be strong, I want to be bold, I want to be fearless, becomes we are these things. So let's begin by kind of delving into that. What is the relation, do you think, between this kind of radical self-acceptance, this radical owning and loving of oneself, and the loving and acceptance of others?
Well, I think specifically with My Pride, it was more about the community.
Yeah.
And just kind of like joining together and accepting that, a lot of cis gay folks don't realize how big of a role the transgender community played in our rights.
Yeah.
And so My Pride was a reflection of that. My Pride was also kind of the way that I wrote it was actually I went on Facebook and I was like, what does pride mean to you? And I had like 160 something comments, and I just took all those words and put a song. So I wanted it to be, yes, a song that I'm singing and I wrote, but also a song that we wrote together.
Yeah, you originated it with the question.
Yeah.
Like, what does it mean to have pride?
Yeah.
And yet it's collaborative.
Yeah.
And a celebration, a communal, a consensus about what it
means.
To have
and
pride.
I also wanted it to be a reminder too of what pride is supposed to stand for.
Yeah.
Just because, I know that in any community there's always going to be like problematic things, but I just wanted it to be a reminder like, hey, we're in this together, and we have space for all of us to be vastly different, but we're all part of the same community.
Yeah.
And like, what does that mean? I just recall like the first time I went to a Pride and just the feelings of like exhilaration and acceptance to just be like, oh my God, where did all these queers come from?
Yeah.
And also like, wow, how beautiful to see like families thriving.
Yeah.
And I wanted to write a song that celebrated that, because I think that's important. I think it's important for people to see that being part of the LGBTQ plus community is like, we deal with so many different things because we're such a vast group of diverse backgrounds of people. But the thing that ties us all together is that, we're queer and we're proud of it. And
the pride, the radical self-acceptance.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think there's that ethos in the closing track on the record, and Dollars Addy too.
Yeah.
With especially the show off your skills, you deserve it all.
Yeah.
So those lyrics really jump out at me. Could you contextualize those lyrics a little bit?
So my partner is part of the pole community.
Yeah.
And so folks always associate like, strippers with pole and whatnot. And I just find it interesting that there's so much technique that goes into being a pole dancer.
Show off your skills.
Exactly. I want people to understand that, sex work is valid work, but it also involves, training. Like
work.
You can't, exactly. Like, I mean,
yes.
Yeah, like if you've ever, a lot of folks, like I said, associate that, but there's a movement of folks that do pole because it's actually very difficult.
It's a craft.
Yeah, it's a
Like
craft,
anyth-
it's a
like
sport.
anything else, and a particularly impressive, beautiful one. Yeah.
Exactly. And so I wanted to kind of write a song that, basically my thought process for that song was like, I want to write a song about strippers that empowers them
Yeah.
and just kind of celebrates their skill level.
Yeah. Show off your skills. You deserve it all.
Exactly.
In my pride, again, to quote the various people that responded to your post, I'm using my freedom to express myself. I accept me as I am, freedom to love who I want, freedom to be who I want.
Yep.
What is the relation between loving who one wants and being who one wants? So, or the relation between loving and being?
Right. I think for me, being transgender, for the longest time, I had so many moments where I didn't know who I was. I knew there was something profoundly different about how I felt on the inside.
Yeah.
And it took such a long time to discover that and finally have acceptance to be that and give myself permission.
Yeah. Good enough is about this.
Yes, yes, that exactly. And I just wanted to express that. I think that one of the biggest things, whether you're trans or queer, you kind of go through this thing where you're told, society tells you how you should be.
Yeah.
And so you do it, and you know, after years of like, this is not fitting, you kind of go through a rebirth.
Yeah, Phoenix kind of.
Yeah, exactly. Where it's just like it's just like I've been told to be this, and I was never fully myself.
Yeah.
And now I'm at a place where I need to be myself for my own good.
Yeah.
And what does that look like? And how do I learn to love that?
Yeah. Absolutely.
I think that's like a common theme. It's just like part of like just owning yourself and just like coming to terms with like, this is who I am, and I am okay with who I am.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One of the things that you are is the world champion of solo karaoke. Is this correct?
Yes, it is. It is. World champ.
Okay, yeah, which is no small thing.
Yeah, that was
Good thing to love about oneself.
Yeah, that I think actually winning that gave me the confidence to pursue a music career.
When did you win that?
I won that in 2018, and I mean it was no easy feat. Just being the national champion of the U.S., I had to beat out 100 people in competition, and not to mention all the various states and various venues that they had to go through. I think mathematically, I beat out like 3,500 people globally for the #1 spot to win it all. And
wow.
Yeah, it was.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah, it took. I mean, it was like training for the vocal Olympics, because you have to sing flawlessly. But one of the judges afterwards, I won with the song "Rise Up" by Andra Day, and at the
Rise
end,
Up, Phoenix.
Exactly. Yeah, I pulled out the trans flag at the end.
Ah, yes.
And one of the judges was like, everything you did about that performance was like perfection, and the flag just was a cherry on top. They were like, you won because of that flag.
Yeah.
Because otherwise I would have tied with the other gal who got second place.
Yeah.
But it just gave me that edge. And at that point, it was funny because I thought I had lost. I was just like, oh, other people are going to win. I don't have a shot.
Yeah.
I'm second to last. And I was like, all right, I'm going to go out there and sing my song and just pull out the flag, because even if I don't win or anything,
You can make a statement.
exactly, I said something and somebody's going to ask what that flag is about. And it worked. I ended up winning.
Yeah.
But then also I actually had a lot of folks from other parts of the world asking, what does that flag mean? And
Oh, that was their first introduction to it.
exactly. And it was an educational moment for me to,
Yeah.
you know, my friends to just be like, this is what it is. So
That's amazing.
yeah.
There's a lyric about, you said the educational moment. Which song is that in? It's
Trying to think.
focused on, that's in My Pride. Let's educate, liberate.
Yes, and that's the other thing, is that, you know, being in such a public venue of like, hey, I'm going to sing for a world championship.
Yeah.
I wanted to take that opportunity to educate people. What I find is that a lot of people who don't have a lot of interaction with the GLBTQ community,
Yeah.
they just don't know. They don't know. They're like, nobody's ever been like, hey, this is what a pronoun is. This is what, you know.
Yeah.
And I think with educating people and like giving space for them to be wrong, and just be like, all right, I see you. This is not exactly correct. Let me educate you. I feel that they're more receptive.
In the context of not being seen,
Yeah.
then in that context, feeling, loving oneself enough and having support from one's community enough, and trusting the other person to be teachable enough.
Yes. Yeah. I find the best way to protest is by being myself the most possible way, where it's like whatever I want to be that so people see me. And then I find that people are interested or they want to find out more and just ask questions.
Yeah. They sense the energy, the presence.
Yeah.
And desire, hopefully, to understand and to see.
Yeah.
One
And
hopes.
I find that to be the most effective way to not only create change, but just to engage people.
Yeah.
And it's just kind of like,
To connect.
yeah, it's like, I'm here. Ask, like,
You're here too.
Exactly.
Let's meet. Let's get rid of the lack of acceptance of each other and of ourselves.
Yeah. Yeah.
And be together.
Yeah, because I'm of the thought where it's like everyone is entitled to be who they want to be, as long as they're respecting one another and not hurting anyone.
Yeah.
That's
If
all-
it doesn't involve not allowing someone else to be who they want to be.
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just that's where I'm like, that's not cool.
Yeah.
But
I agree.
in general, like I mean, there's people that do things that I'm just like, I don't understand. I accept it though,
Yeah.
and as long as they're not hurting anybody, do you?
Deciding not to be eaten by shame, like that comes up in a couple of the earlier songs.
Yeah,
too,
yeah.
in Good Enough.
Yeah, it's just like not. When I wrote So Much More, I had in mind kind of GSA,
Yeah.
Gay Straight Alliance, and just I kind of went back and recalled a lot of like feelings that I had when I was first coming out.
Yeah.
And I remember an instance once where I had a girlfriend and we were walking holding hands and she kissed me out in public, and this person driving by just yelled out slur, and I was 15 and terrified, and I was like, all right, we're not doing that again.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was just kind of me processing and thinking about what I felt in that very like tender time in my life of being a teenager and being like afraid and confused and just,
Yeah.
like, how is it that somebody that loves me is bad?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. How can loving?
Yeah, how can loving
Be
someone be a bad thing?
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
and so for So Much More, one of the lines is confusing, I'm letting it go, freeing my soul, seeing in color. Because
In color.
yeah, it's just there was something, I wanted to make a reference to the rainbow
Yeah.
of just kind of like, I thought every life was black and white for a while, and it's not,
Yeah. I get that similar kind of vibe with chemistry too.
Yeah.
Where again, it's about connection, electricity circulate, flowing out of your fingertips. Fire's been burning. I'm going into my desire.
Yeah.
So they're again kind of going with the flow. There's this like energetic exchange. One knows it to be good and life-giving.
Right.
Yeah.
And just, yeah, that song too was just kind of like kissing the first girl I ever kissed.
Yeah.
And
chemistry.
just, yeah, it's just that, just like finally being like, whoa, this does it for me, and what I did before didn't. And, like, oh, I get it. This
Yes,
is,
absolutely.
So
Yeah.
that song is just a lot of it is actually how I met my partner. When they first kissed me, I was just like, whoa, oh, okay.
Right. That moment of realization,
Yeah, like
the significance of that connection.
yeah, and just having chemistry with someone that's so intense.
Yeah.
Like that. So I think that's why I love that song, just because when I listen to it, I'm just like, that song is like about my first kiss with my partner and how
Yeah.
amazing that was.
Yeah. And then finding ways to kind of sustain that flow and keep that chemistry going.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And just, absolutely. I think I really, that song is, I listen to it and I blush, but I'm just like, yeah, because it's real. That's how I felt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
I like how there are two songs, maybe the two songs that we haven't spoken about yet, actually, Dismissed and Crush. They're like opposite ends, kind of opposite scenarios.
Yes.
At the beginning of something, what happens immediately after the end of something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's, so Crush was just, again, I was inspired by my partner in kind of like the beginning stages of a relationship where just like, you're like, I like you, but I like don't know, I'm awkward. I'm awkward when I like someone.
Yeah, many of us are.
But, one thing that I always loved is I love dancing. And I just wanted to write something that felt good. And I mean, I hate to bring this artist up, but I actually used to be a big fan of R. Kelly's music. And then with all that stuff, I'm not listening to it anymore. And I found that there was like, I just miss a song that is like, feel good, that is like, it's got that like, I just want to tap my foot to it and it's just about dancing.
Yeah, make one of your own.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I was like, why don't I make one that's not problematic? And yeah, so.
The rhythm of your body's got me feeling something new.
Yeah.
So, I mean, again, it's this idea of the chemistry, and even if one is kind of shy or, then there is this sense, there is a connect, like, it's not in words yet, but you're picking up on something and there's this rhythm.
Yeah. And for me, I couldn't get the hook out of my head. Like when I heard the instrumental, I was just like, boom.
Yeah.
I just started humming along and, it was just like, came to this party, hoping I'll run into you.
Yeah.
So hearing that, I was just like, yeah, like that's how I feel.
Yeah. It's like, those lyrics, that melody does really fit with that instrumentation, kind of the vibe there. Was that, so how would these, so folk using that as a good seg to thinking about the production of these songs, how were they developed with you and Kyle?
So Kyle is a musical genius. He has like a vault of tracks.
Yeah.
So what he would do is that he would pick a group. We'd get together for recording. Like usually we'd do like a weekend of it.
Yeah.
And he would narrow it down to like 15 tracks that he thought fit me.
Yeah.
And then he would have me listen, and then we would listen to each of them together and just be like, are you hearing anything there? Is it striking you? And that song, as soon as I heard it, I was like, okay, I feel something, like there's something here. Yeah. So then we would just notate it and then come back to it, and then I would just be like, this is what I was hearing, and write down whatever lyrics came to mind while I was hearing it. And then I find that I am a very good improv artist, and so I was just like, let's just play this. Hit record and see
chemistry with the music.
Yeah, and just see what comes out. And that was one of those where I just was freestyling and ended up liking what I did.
Was there a similar process with other songs that got on the way onto the record?
That was kind of the process. He, him, his, I actually wrote in my home studio. Lyrically, I had this idea, and I was just kind of in my undies, and I was like, oh, what if I write this? And I came back to Kyle, and I told him what I wanted, and he was able to do instrumentation to what I was writing.
Awesome.
And then Dismissed, it started out too with I was really listening to a lot of like Mexican country music on my way to the studio.
That particular day?
Yeah. I had found this new artist that I was like obsessed with. Cristian Nodal. He's a beautiful singer, but I like how he was able to take new sounds and combine them with like traditional Mexican mariachi like music. And that's why the way that it starts is kind of like slow and just like dramatic, and I just wanted to bring that, but then the subject matter of it is like when people get into arguments in relationships and they're like, we're breaking up, and then the next day being like, no, let's get back together. You know, and I wanted to write a song about that because I was like, that's really not okay. Like, you don't just break up with people and be like, I'm sorry, you know.
Yes, exactly. A bit of accountability there.
Yeah.
I don't know you. It's 'cause
yeah.
then there's this, so in the context of the song, so there's the dismissal.
Yeah.
And then, okay, dismissed.
Yeah.
And now, you know, I'll just be myself.
Right.
And
yeah, it's like, you know, like I wanted to be like, well, you know, I take you at face value for what you're saying. So if you're dumping me, you're dumping me. So I'm going to go do whatever I want.
Yes.
And if you're coming back and because you want me back, I'm sorry. I'm like.
Yeah. The lyric is you created the situation.
Yeah.
And so just we're taking ownership not just of ourselves, but also of our creative power.
Mm-hmm.
Don't underestimate our creative power. And if we have it, and you know, our thoughts become our actions too.
Mm-hmm.
So then there's a grappling with that, and a the cultivation of self-love, and then like being the fully present self.
Yeah. But yeah, and just having the confidence too to just, you know, stand up to somebody that hurts you.
Yeah, exactly.
Because I think that's an important process too of a self-love.
Yeah.
You know, I got a divorce. It was, and through that, I kind of went through this like, you know, no, that was not okay.
Yeah.
And I'm amazing and I am great and I deserve so much better than this.
Yeah.
And you can go.
Yeah.
And just kind of like not allowing myself to compromise because somebody else is not sure.
Yeah.
So I wanted to write a song about that because I was like, I don't really hear that. Ariana Grande's the "Thank You Next" really inspired. I was just like, yeah, like that was. I remember that being my jam for a bit, and I just wanted to write a song about like, you can't just break up with people and expect them to still be yours the next day, or you know, like when you say you're done, you're done.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
There's a kind of education again, like the liberation and education going together again.
Yeah.
It's almost as if in that song you're educating the person who is inconsistent with their message. Yeah, that you know, our creative power is really important, and the more integrity and consistency that we have with our, you know, manifesting the better for everyone. So like them calling through example to be consistent and to have integrity with what one is creating.
Yes. Yeah. And just, you know, people taking ownership of like, if you mess up, you mess up. Like you have to either try and fix it or let them go because you made that decision. And I'm always like, it's not really fair that if you decided that you were done and then expect the other person to like, you know, just wait for you.
Wait,
no, like that's not how it works. And, you know, in this day and age with a lot of dating apps and stuff, like, I feel like a lot of people can kind of relate to that message. You know, I don't know I've been ghosted. I didn't even know that was a term until I was like, oh, that's what ghosted means. But just like, I wanted to remind people that other human beings have feelings.
Yes, absolutely.
And you can't just like throw them away and take them back at whim.
Okay, so a final focus then on so back to the he, him, his, and he, him, his, I am mine, MIKKO blazes, MIKKO blazes.
Yes.
That was our starting point, and now we're kind of ending by recognizing MIKKO blazes, and yet there are all the other people too.
Mm-hmm.
And clearly, you know, you are someone who's very aware and accepting and respectful of other people's autonomy and integrity. That's also what you were highlighting to begin with in terms of respect and mutual respect.
Yeah.
So, how are there moments in the record that focus the most on this, on this being the case for everyone? Just as, you know, as MIKKO blazes his.
Yes.
Yeah, then each of the people that MIKKO Blaze interacts with are also their own.
Right.
And the sooner we all accept and respect that, the greater true connection, stable, flowing, good chemistry connection there can be. That seems to be really important consistently in the record.
That, and then just like, for example, Good Enough, I wrote that song with the intention of, I want somebody who's listening to this, singing in their car, in the shower, to say these beautiful affirmations about themselves. Like, yes, I wrote the song and I am singing it, but if you're singing it with me, you are also saying those things for yourself.
Absolutely.
Just like I want to trick you. The thing that I would say with that song is like
benevolent trick.
Yep, I wanted to trick you into self-love.
Yeah.
You know,
the best
like
kind of trick.
I
try and do that too sometimes.
Yeah, it's just like I want people to sing and listen to my music, but I want what they're singing to be a reflection of like how they should be feeling.
Yeah.
You know, you should love yourself. You are good enough, no matter the circumstances in life. You're good enough and you deserve happiness.
Yeah.
That's what we all ultimately want.
Yeah. And that's why we have to stand up when we're not receiving the respect. It's probably not intentional, it's just a lack of attention.
Yeah.
And it serves all of us to, in the interest of respect, self-respect, and love.
Well, and confidence, the confidence to say, I know myself.
Yeah.
I think that's really important in like your journey of self-discovery, is just like, who am I, and you know, am I going to stand for this or not?
Yeah.
And I think I just want people to really feel that and also sing it out loud in the car. You know, my goal would be one day forever, like just get a chorus of people to say, I'm good enough as I am, good enough as I am. Like, you know, it's just like that would be beautiful, because it's just like, yes.
Whilst you're all shooting money out of your guns.
Exactly, like, money. Let me pay you.
There you go.
Thank you.
We have to make this happen.
Yes.
And the rock opera karaoke.
Yes, yes.
As we were talking about before before the interview. So yeah, this has been a very nice journey.
Yeah, thank you.